Let's say, A is B in Japanese.
A は B です。
To say this type of sentence in Japanese, first add the particle wa after the subject. Then add dis after the complement. This particle, wa, indicates that the preceding word is the topic of the sentence. In this type of sentence, the topic is basically the subject. So remember to add wa after the subject. This part can be translated as speaking of A or as for A. Next is dis, which is a verb meaning be. In this sentence, it means is. However, the word order in Japanese is different from English. In Japanese, the predicate verb is always placed at the end of the sentence. And Japanese verbs do not change conjugations depending on the person. So not only is, but also am and are all become dis. By the way, if you write this in Japanese, it would look like this.
A は B です。
Japanese is traditionally a vertically written language. In vertical writing, it is written from right to left. However, modern Japanese is often written horizontally. When written horizontally, it is written from left to right. These single Roman letters like A and B are usually written as they are in the Roman alphabet. The other characters here are Japanese phonetic characters called hiragana.
ひらがな。
This channel also has playlists where you can learn how to read and write each character, so if you're interested, please check them out. And this little circle is a period in Japanese, which is placed at the end of a sentence. Now, let's go back and review the rules we learned earlier. First, put wa after the subject. Then put dis after the complement. Easy, right? Now let's practice with different words. Now let's say, I am Yamada, in Japanese. Yamada is a common Japanese family name. In Japanese, I is
私。
Let's listen and repeat.
私。
Good. Let's practice Yamada, too.
山田。
So how do you say, I am Yamada? That's right.
私は山田です。
Wonderful. First, you add wa after the subject, and then add dis at the end. Let's practice again.
私は山田です。
Good. Now try saying it but using your own name instead of Yamada. In Japan, in professional or formal conversations, people generally introduce themselves using just their family name. On the other hand, in personal, casual conversations, it is common to give only the given name. Use whichever you prefer here. Let's practice.
私は。です。
Once again.
私は。です。
Excellent. Now you can introduce yourself in Japanese. This sentence looks like this when written in hiragana.
私は山田です。
Additionally, some Japanese words can be written using kanji,
漢字。
a writing system that was introduced to Japan from ancient China. In this case, the word watashi and the family name Yamada have kanji writing, and these are usually written in kanji. Particles and dis don't have kanji writing, they are always written in hiragana. In Japanese, this sentence would actually be written like this, using a mix of hiragana and kanji. Next, let's say, I am Japanese. What is I in Japanese? That's right.
私。
This is how you say Japanese in Japanese.
日本人。
Nihon means Japan in Japanese. Jin means a person or people. Jin is added after the name of a country to mean someone who has the nationality of that country. Japanese words don't have a distinction between singular and plural, or masculine or feminine. So the same words can be used for anyone, one or more people, male or female. Now try saying Japan again in Japanese. Yes, that's right.
日本。
So how do you say Japanese person or people? Wonderful.
日本人。
So how do you say I am Japanese in Japanese? Excellent.
私は日本人です。
Fantastic. Well, I'm guessing that most of you watching this video are not Japanese. So, let's practice with some other nationality. Let's say, American. This is how you say America in Japanese.
アメリカ。
Good. So what word do we add to mean a person or people of that country? That's right, it's Jin. So, how do you say American? Exactly.
アメリカ人。
Wonderful. Now let's say, he is American. We need a new word here. In Japanese, he is
彼。彼。
very good. So how do you say, he is American? Exactly.
彼はアメリカ人です。彼はアメリカ人です。
Excellent. The word America is written in characters that look slightly different from hiragana. This is another type of phonetic alphabet called katakana.
カタカナ。
In modern Japanese, foreign words such as America are written in this katakana. For other countries around the world, we have a separate video where you can practice saying their names in Japanese. Check it out and find out how to say your nationality. Next, let's say Mr. Yamada is Japanese. How do you say Mr. in Japanese? It is
さん。
once again.
さん。
Very nice. Adding son after a person's name is a respectful way of saying their name. This son is a very versatile title that can be used for almost anyone, whether male or female, and married or married, adult or child, and for full names, family names, or given names only. However, it is important to note that son should never be used with your own name. Now let's say Mr. Yamada.
山田さん。
Good. And we have already learned how to say Japanese person or people. Do you remember how to say it? Yes, that's right.
日本人。
Wonderful. So how do you say Mr. Yamada is Japanese? Exactly.
山田さんは日本人です。
Once again.
山田さんは日本人です。
Wonderful. This is the last one. Let's talk about your gender. In Japanese, man is
男性。男性。
very good. So how do you say, I am a man? Excellent.
私は男性です。私は男性です。
Wonderful. Next, in Japanese, woman is
女性。女性。
very good. So how do you say, I am a woman? Excellent.
私は女性です。私は女性です。
Great job, everyone. Now, let's practice a conversation using the sentence pattern we learned today. Today, let's practice greetings for when you meet someone for the first time. First, listen to the whole conversation.
はじめまして。私は田中です。よろしくお願いします。はじめまして。山田です。よろしくお願いします。
Let's take a look at each sentence. This is a scene when two people, Tanaka-san and Yamada-san, meet and greet each other for the first time. First, Tanaka-san says this.
はじめまして。
This is a greeting when meeting someone for the first time, and is similar to the English, how do you do? You may have heard this command given at the start of a martial arts match.
はじめ。
This means beginning or start in Japanese. The phrase that Tanaka-san said is a shortened version of a sentence that means something like, this is the first time I've met you. Let's practice pronunciation.
はじめまして。はじめまして。
Excellent. Let's move on to the next sentence.
私は田中です。
This one needs no explanation as we've already practiced it a lot. Tanaka is one of the most common family names for Japanese people. Let's practice pronunciation.
私は田中です。
Very nice. Here we have another new phrase.
よろしくお願いします。
This phrase is used in a similar way to the English phrase, nice to meet you. It is said after introducing yourself and expresses the hope of building a good relationship with the other person. The first part,
よろしく。
means well, or in a good way. This is a slightly old-fashioned and formal expression. The next part,
お願い。
is a request. The last part,
します。
is a verb that means to do. Literally translated, this phrase means something like, I plead that you treat me well. This phrase is used not only when greeting someone for the first time, but also in many other situations. You can say this phrase when you are politely asking someone to do something for you. Now let's practice pronunciation.
よろしく。お願い。します。よろしく。 お願いします。よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。
Wonderful. Next is how the other person responds. Here you are basically repeating the phrases the other person said. The only difference here is that Yamada-san didn't say, watashi wa, when saying his name. In fact, in Japanese, information that is obvious from the context is often omitted. If it is clear that the conversation is about me, the subject, I, is usually omitted. Let's practice, but using your own name instead of Yamada.
山田です。山田です。
Great. You've already learned this last phrase. Here you can reply with the same phrase to the other person. Also, did you notice that both Yamada-san and Tanaka-san bowed while saying this phrase in their conversation? This is a traditional Japanese gesture used to show respect, gratitude, or apology to someone. Try doing this gesture while saying this phrase. Now, let's practice the whole conversation once.
はじめまして。私は田中です。よろしくお願いします。はじめまして。山田です。よろしくお願いします。
Now let's do some role playing. First, Tanaka-san will greet you. Then you will introduce yourself to Tanaka-san. Also, try to say your lines without looking at the text as much as possible. Let's get started. Hajime.
はじめまして。私は田中です。よろしくお願いします。
Great job everyone. In the next video, we will practice how to make questions. See you again.
ではまた。